Hello, my name is Aftab Bose. I'm the editor for LPM, and I'm joined today by Clive Meredith, who's the practice director for Wollens, a full service law firm based in Devon. Today, we're going to be talking about a very key aspect of digital transformation in law firms, that is the digitalized post and mail system. Wollens has recently been through this journey with EasyScan, who is our sponsor for today's conversation. And Clive is going to take us through the key aspects of this journey, riddled with motivation, challenges, and key takeaways. So, without much further ado, I'll come to you, Clive. Could you start us off with just some background on your business and what the challenges you were facing when you first approached EasyScan?
Sure. Yeah. I work as a practice director of Wollens, and I've been with the firm about 18, 19 years now. And when I joined, we were a very small firm. We had one office locally with about 35, 40 staff. And over those period of the years, from the number of mergers and acquisitions, and we're now a regional presence in Devon, and we have three main offices. We call them hubs. We have one in South Devon, one in Exeter, and one in North Devon. And now we've got about 154 people, and we turn over £10 million a year. So we've grown substantially. Historically, the firm was primarily a private client practice, but now we are a full service firm. We have a very strong corporate and commercial department as well. So we cover all aspects of law. The challenge that we had, as with every other law firm, is how on earth do you go from being just consumed by paper to digitizing the whole process. As I said, we've done a number of mergers and acquisitions. We've always been very insistent with any firm that we've taken on that there has to be one way of doing something, because otherwise it's just utter chaos if you have many individual firms carrying on the way they've always run. So one of the systems that we did look at particularly was our post routines and how we can make that more efficient. We invested heavily, probably about 10 years ago, 12 years ago, in case management software. But we were finding we were actually only using half of that software, in that we were preparing the documents, sending them out, and there'd be a record of everything that had gone out. There'd be no record of anything that had come in. So really, we were only using 50% of the capacity of the software. And so the challenge for us was, how can we really reduce our paper coming into the office? How can we digitize it? How can we get rid of the really old practices of secretaries having to sit and file for, and it's always out of date. It's always more than 2 months out of date, and then you can't find the piece of paper that you're looking for. How to get rid of all of that kind of inefficiency and drive everything to a digitized process on the screen that anyone can find anything at any time, wherever they're working, and make that whole process smooth.
Right, so you had this motivation and you were kind of looking for a solution. So what led you to EasyScan as a solution? How did you hear about it?
So the vision for that started about 7 years ago. We actually used a product to start the digitization process, and it did a job in that it did digitize post coming in. But the issue for us was, once it had scanned the post, there was no way of integrating into our case management system. So it was still a very manual process of, oh, these are my scans, I have to rename them, I have to drag and drop them in. And it worked, but it was clunky, but it started us down the journey of digitization. We have a supplier called iTech, and iTech were very, very interested in our processes, and they recommended EasyScan to us. And when we sat down and we had a chat with Bob, it was very clear from the outset that actually EasyScan would really solve a number of the problems that we were facing in integrating into our SOS system, and really making the second part of the process of, once it's scanned, getting it into our case management very, very much simpler. So that's how we got to know about EasyScan, and it was a journey from there, really.
Where did you start? I'm sure a lot of firms out there want to know, how did you go about it? What was the process like of implementation and installation?
Yeah, so installation was very easy. That's the easy bit. The implementation is a lot more difficult. We took what we were doing, because we had a process in place. We took what we were doing, and we sat down with Bob from EasyScan, and we started to work out and map out the process, identified the areas which weren't working efficiently for us, and then started from there. The guys we've got some really good IT guys in the firm, and it took them probably about a month and a half, I would think, from installation to actually be able, well, different iterations of it, of the software, as we made more and more efficiencies moving forward, and as our guys got to know what the software could do. So it was a journey. It took us about a month and a half, I guess, before we actually launched, and we took one department into it. So we tested it with one department first, but it's a very clever bit of kit. It's actually could grow with us as a business as well. So we've got future development plans for it. But the thing for us that was really critical was the post can now be validated against SOS.
As you said, I mean, it has made things a lot easier. So the kind of list of challenges that you had going into your partnership with EasyScan, would you say that you've kind of ticked all the boxes in that sense now? Have you solved all the problems?
Yeah, I mean, it's a very interesting thing. From a management point of view, it solved all of those problems. I know that data is secure. I know where it's stored. So all of those processes from a management point of view are ticked. You present that to users, and often they don't understand what's behind the changes. So we had a little bit of pushback initially, but it's like anything, with new users going on to new systems. At first, there's a bit of reticence. Why do we have to change? But if I took it away now, there'd be uproar. And sometimes, you know what's right, and you have to implement it in that way, and people come along with you, but they don't actually see the benefit at first. But that's part of the process of change, and that's the same in any area, whether it's IT or people management or anything. There's always a process of pain with change. So it's absolutely ticked all the boxes.
So moving on to the part where you said that the real challenge is driving adoption, driving implementation, could you give us a kind of time frame, as in how long has it been since you actually clicked the switch and installed the solution? And how long do you think there is left on the journey to kind of drive end user adoption?
Yeah, well, we've had it in a year now, so everybody's bedded down with it, and it didn't actually take that long. Within a few days, people had started to bed down with it. It's just, as with any kind of implementation, it's communication that's the key. If you just present people with, click that now, that doesn't actually work. They need the full picture of why we're trying to do it. And good training with it as well.
Can you give us a bit about the user friendliness, because obviously that's a major aspect of driving adoption. So, I mean, the solution obviously ticks all your boxes at the back end, but is it also user friendly for your end users?
Yeah, very much so. It's based on a web app solution, so it's really, really intuitive to use. At the beginning, once the post is done, users get an email that's saying your post has arrived. You click a button, takes you to a web portal. You sign in, you can then authorize, you can delete the post if it's not relevant. You can forward the post on to another person if it's, this isn't quite for me, actually, so-and-so's doing with that. They can forward it onto their queue. So there's lots of options that you can do within it, and it's all really easy, very, very straightforward to use.
And post implementation and installation, what is your relationship with EasyScan like when you need to consult them for something? Is there a kind of open line of communication with them?
Yeah, very much so. In fact, we did have an issue where we were, because it was embraced so well, we were doing really, really big bundles, huge bundles, actually. And because of that, the processing power was really starting to struggle. So we went back to EasyScan, and very quickly they resolved the problem, put in additional resource for us, understood the problem, listened to the problem, wanted to solve the problem. So we feel like we've got a great partnership with them, actually.
If you were to recommend the solution to someone else, what are the key points that you would bring up?
Yeah, I think the first one would be to understand the process that you want to achieve first. Sit down with a piece of paper, work it out, go from A to Z as to where your journey will go. That's so helpful in the overall kind of planning and implementation side of things, if you have a clear journey of what you want to achieve. But then on the way, don't be too afraid to adapt that as you see what the software can do. And that's what we did. As we will start with process A, and as our IT guys were learning the software, they can say, actually, it can actually do this as well. Should we add this in? So we were able to adapt our process as we went along to make it even more efficient. I'd say the second thing would be give plenty of time to communicate the changes well. with your people. And we started this process probably 6 months before we actually did anything, saying this is coming, there will be change, it will be easier, it will be more efficient. And we started that process a long time before, as I said, about 6 months, and we continue to talk about it and to keep that kind of communication up. And every step along the way, we were able then to communicate, this is what, it will launch in 4 weeks' time. This is how it's looking at the moment. So that was a really important part. So it's not a scary thing for people when it comes in. And then the third thing I think was we just don't stop developing, because EasyScan is really adaptable. We're looking at it now to scan our invoices and actually post them onto the nominals for us. So that's our next phase of development. It's a very flexible piece of kit, it's going to help us a lot and really drive further efficiencies within our business.